All Wrapped Up and Tongue-Tied, a Miraculous Ladybug fanfiction written and narrated by Mira Rose. Artwork by KittyCatPaws on DeviantArt. You can find a link to her DeviantArt in the description box. Really cute image, so go give her lots of love for her talent, alright? Now then, if you haven't already, don't forget to not only subscribe to this channel, but also give this video a thumbs up and a comment to support the YouTube algorithm. If you don't know what to comment, put an awkward reveal. If you don't know how to spell awkward, that's alright, it's kind of an awkward word to spell. Now then, please enjoy All Wrapped Up and Tongue-Tied. Marinette Dupang Chang, in her parents' bakery, feeling terribly awkward. How could something she'd looked forward to so much turn into her most dreaded moment of the day? Marinette sat on the bench at the bakery's front, legs bouncing as she bit her nails, waiting for Adrian to arrive. Ugh. Of all people, Adrian? And of all the times to find out, it had to be mere hours before the Christmas decorating date they'd set up? Well, not like a date, but she spent the last week thinking about it as a date. But now she went from not knowing how to act in front of him to dreading to see him in less than 3 hours. Oh, time. Please move slower. Her heart dropped when the all-too-familiar limo pulled up outside. No avoiding it. Adrian was here, accompanied by the truth she'd found out today. She did her best to not make eye contact through the window as he stepped out, which resulted in her ducking beneath the window as he looked up, which, in hindsight, was not the best action to take. Both her mother and father showed concern as she went near prone on the floor. The consequence of her action, besides the looks from her parents, was that she had to scramble from the floor as the door swung open, bell chiming. As one may expect, given Marinette's track history, this did not end well. Oh, no. Instead of being the cool and suave ladybug Adrian had found her out to be, Marinette slammed herself into the open door in her efforts to stand up and be totally normal in front of him. "Are you okay, Adrian cut himself off as he said her name, nearly dropping the bag he carried. Are you okay?" "Yep, sure, totally, Adrien," she began, freezing halfway through his name. Oops. She needed to be cooler than this. Yes. Yes, I'm quite all right, Adrian. That's good to hear, Marinette. Is it going to be like this forever? Plag groaned, flying out from somewhere in Adrian's shirt. He grabbed the Kwame, looking around quickly to see if someone saw. "Plag!" Adrian hissed. Marinette checked to make sure her parents were still preoccupied. "Just because they know each other's identities doesn't mean you can just float around," Tiki said, popping her head out of her purse. "Tiki!" Marinette exclaimed, trying to shove her back inside. "Let's go in back to chat," Adrian said. He touched her shoulder gently to guide her, but instead of making her flustered, Marinette felt sick to her stomach. Oh, no. It was time. It was time to talk about what happened after the Akuma fight. It was time to talk about finding out their identities and how to move forward. Marinette couldn't blame him if he didn't want to work with her anymore. Ladybug was only a facade. Who would want to work with this klutzy girl? Sure, she was smart, no doubt about that, but now he'd realized why he'd be the one to take most of the hits for her in battle. It's because she's a klutz, and even a mask couldn't fix that. Oh, Adrian wouldn't ever like her because she's the reason he has a tough time in battles. The echo of her steps as they made their way through the bakery swept over her like a miasma, flooding her head with fog that made the background music sound like an old television playing in another room. "So," Marinette began when they stepped into the back, alone together for the first time since they found out the other's identity. But before she could continue, Adrian swept her into a hug. Her back arched as he pressed her into himself. "I'm so happy it's you," he whispered, his words tickling her ear and setting a pulse throughout her body. "Uh-huh?" Her response came loud and awkward, and she even pushed away from him in surprise. Adrian, startled, turned away from her, his ears pink. "Well, I mean," he cleared his throat. I guess you don't, Was he just as flustered as she was? Sorry. We should, get started?" He kicked the box of Christmas lights gently with his foot. Sure." It was her fault for making this awkward, so at least making her hands busy could help the time pass. They trudged upstairs with boxes of decorations, choosing to start in the living room to set up the tree. She'd decorate it with her parents later, but getting it up and wrapped with lights was half the battle. "Oh, and by the way," Adrian said, setting down his box. The paper bag he brought hung around his fingers. "I got his Christmas presents." You did?" Her eyes grew wide. "Well, I mean, I got them for Ladybug and Cat Noir, but, He ran his fingers through his hair. Had she ever seen him sheepish like this? "Anyway, here. Yours is the green one." Marinette took the now outstretched bag and peeked inside to see a Ladybug and a Cat Noir scarf. "The green one? Not the Ladybug one?" Adrian shuffled his weight. "I was going to, ask you out with it." His voice got softer with each word. "I wanted us to have matching ones. You know, like, a couple," he whispered. Marinette, who put the scarf on as he spoke, began sputtering. Adrian? Asking her out? Adrian liked Ladybug? Okay, well, yeah, that makes sense. He's Cat Noir, and Cat likes Ladybug, which means... Marinette swallowed. "You should put yours on too, then." She watched his shoulders relax, and she wasn't quite sure if he sighed in relief, but the sound was pretty close to that. "Oh, cool. Thanks." "Of course." Silence passed as he put it on before striking a ta-da pose. "What do you think?" What does she think? That he's the cutest boy ever, and if he's also Cat Noir, he's also the goofiest one too. Somehow that seemed like an excellent combination. "I think we need to get to decorating," she said, pointing at a box and thanking her Miraculous that the Ladybug side of her took over just now. Instead of nearly melting when their fingers brushed as they passed the string of lights around the tree, each touch gave her massive anxiety. Putting the tree in the room's corner hadn't helped make this any easier, so the handoffs were frequent, and Marinette wasn't sure how much more of this she could take.
I'll help you for some camembert.
Marinette turned at the recognizable but not fully familiar voice.
Plug!
Adrian yelled as the Kwame flew out, licking his chops.
It'll be a lot easier with us flying around,
Tiki exclaimed, popping out and grabbing the string of lights from Marinette's hands. Plag went after the pile on the ground and, before either of their masters could protest, starting zipping around the tree. There was one slight problem, however, with their course of action. In wrapping the tree with lights, they also tied Adrian and Marinette together. The Kwames gave a final tug, taking Marinette off balance and tipping her into Adrian's arms.
Whoa,
he said, catching her.
You okay?
Yeah, Marinette said, unsure where to put her hands.
Hey, Plag, can you...
Adrian began, looking around for him.
Where's the cheese?
The Kwame yelled, zooming around the kitchen.
Don't mess up Mama's fridge,
Tiki called, chasing after him.
Wait, no!
Marinette exclaimed, still wrapped up and tongue-tied in front of, with, Adrian.
So,
Adrian began, looking down at her.
Either we have a boot camp session on how to become ninjas, or we're stuck for the foreseeable future.
I'd rather we harness the powers of Santa Claus and elf our way out of this.
Elf our way out?
Adrian questioned. You know, because they're kind of like ninjas in the movies.
I suppose.
He laughed, and she felt herself grow hot as her hands rose and fell on his chest.
What are you?
They turned to see Nino standing in the doorway, slack-jawed, as Alia seized the opportunity to whip out her phone and start taking pictures. Normally, Marinette would have loved to preserve a moment with Adrian, but now she'd rather sort out her feelings for him also being Cat Noir before she fawns over what could be a more than embarrassing memento of the day they revealed their identities because of a cardboard cutout and a missized Santa hat.
Hey man, a little hope over here?
How did this even happen? Alia asked, helping unravel with one hand as she kept filming with the other.
Tiny hands and mischievous luck,
Adrian answered. I didn't realize Manon was over. Marinette and Adrian gave an awkward laugh in unison, avoiding eye contact.
Kids, you know.
Never thought that little girl could be so bold. Their friends untangled them and set to work helping with the rest of the decorations, not commenting on how awkward it was between the two of them with anything except their facial expressions. My vote is Adrian buys a Starbucks, Alia said, flopping down on the couch after wrangling a string of lights up with Nino.
Why me?
Adrian asked, offering her a scoff instead of eagerness to buy. Take Marinette with you. It's not like you could hold it all by yourself.
4 drinks? I think I could manage with a carrier.
Oh, I guess I'll just have to order more. Alia pulled out her phone and started texting him her order.
We got it from here,
Nino said, patting Marinette on the back and smiling.
Better get going.
Huh? Marinette said. She found herself with Adrian on the curbside of the bakery, both unsure how to respond after being ushered out.
Okay, well, he said, seizing the moment. Shall we go?
He looked back at her over his shoulder, and Marinette's heart betrayed her. She liked him so much, and now she didn't just have faith in him as a friend. She trusted him. She trusted him with her whole being, except her heart. She'd never trusted Cat Noir with her heart, but he was Cat, and now she could. She could trust him with her heart. Marinette had never come to that conclusion with him as two separate entities, but now...
Marinette?
Adrian's voice took her out of her thoughts.
Are you coming?
He extended his hand to her, and the courage she had as Ladybug swelled up inside her. She took it. She took Adrian's hand, not as a gesture, but to hold it. Yeah, let's go. A smile she rarely saw washed over him, a testament that, misunderstanding or not, he was that dorky cat she thought she knew so well. And while it felt like she was forgetting something, it didn't seem to matter in the moment. He didn't respond as they began their walk, hand in hand, but she could tell he was struggling. "What?" she asked, unable to wipe the smile off her face.
Does this...
He stopped walking.
Does this mean I can buy you roses now?
Adrian used his free hand to cover his face as he looked away. "Buy me?" Oh, was it possible to smile any wider than this? Of course!
Wait, really? You'd...
He cleared his throat, a mock attempt to look composed.
You'd accept them?
I've already accepted your hand, haven't I? His face, though previously shaded, turned beet red.
Camembert, why can't I be as cool as you?
He said into his hand, muffled and clearly not meant for her ears. Huh? What? No, I'm not cool. You're the cool one. You're like, you're France's most desired bachelor twice around, so like, I would... She cut herself off before she could embarrass herself further. He squeezed her hand.
Thanks,
he said.
It means a lot, coming from you.
Something nagged in the back of her mind as they kept walking, but she couldn't remember what it was until Leon's cheese store came into view. "Plague!" she exclaimed, taking Adrien off guard.
Plague?
He questioned, then realized what she meant.
Plague!
We left them behind! They looked at each other and, for the first time that afternoon, couldn't help but laugh in earnest, evaporating any remaining tension from their awkward identity reveal and the afternoon that followed it. Shrugging at each other, knowing it was too late at this point, the not-yet-labeled couple continued on to their local Starbucks, hand in hand and on cloud nine. Nothing from the day was as they planned, leaving them all wrapped up and tongue-tied, but somehow they worked it out. Marinette wasn't entirely sure where her confidence came from, but she knew one thing. So long as they were together, they could unravel any knot that came their way. What a gorgeous way to begin this sparkling Christmas season. Thank you so much for listening. Once again, you can find a link to the artist, KittyCatPaws, in the description box. If you are new to this channel, don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this and other Miraculous Ladybug content, and give this video a thumbs up and a comment to support the YouTube algorithm. If you don't know what to comment, put an Adrienette Christmas. I will catch you in the next one. Bye!